Okay, so now it's February 24th, same day, right? I just put up a video, finished off that Let's Talk About Made. Okay, so in the meantime, right, I'm putting away some of these buckets. I got so many of them. But that's okay. So anyway, what we got the cantatelli, we've got the millet, right? We've got the pudding rice, which I still have in plastic bags. Now, I told you, okay? So I'm like probably gonna empty these out of the bag because these bags, over a period of time, they start to deteriorate. Now, even in a bucket, okay? So that will be emptied, and that's that Keir's pudding rice, right? Which I'm going to keep separate. And what is this? We've got soft white wheat, and then we've got the soft white wheat, which might actually be mixed with hard white wheat, right? That's in a video from the past. Okay, so whatever. And then this one is, what is organic oat groats whole, and we've got amaranth and a whole bunch of other things down the hall, okay? I have a lot of these buckets now, and I'm also setting up some downstairs for my son, as well as some of them are just going to be in for food storage. Like these are those dehydrated dates. I've got more dehydrated dates, right? So I might chop them up. And okay, so besides that point. So what I'm trying to say is, no, I haven't done this yet. But in light of what I've got here, in the event of a pest coming in with your food, which is possible, right? Or maybe a house moth flying in when you're not looking before you put on your lid. Considering all things said and how much you spend for this stuff and what's going on in the world, you know, you kind of want to do the best you can when it comes to storing this stuff. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So before I put them in my bedroom, because this is where they're going, because I don't have the room in here, and then when I get to them, it could be 2 days from now, it could be 2 weeks from now, it could be 2 months from now, it could be freaking 2 years for all I know from now. The point is you don't want to have a bug party in your bucket, right? And because, you know, they pretty much came out of the bag into the bucket, and they've just been kind of accumulating as I've been going from bag to bag to bag, right? Now it's time to put them away. Before I put them away for any length of time, before I can use them, I'm going to put oxygen absorbers in them. And because of the size, I've decided to put 2 into each bucket. That's feasible. You do not put oxygen absorbers in sugar or brown sugar, for sure. 100% do not do that. It's not recommended. As well as you don't want to put them in with gooey dates, gooey raisins, anything gooey, right? It's got to be 90% dry, really, before you can use an oxygen absorber. So I wouldn't even put an oxygen absorber in with these dates, and I've already explained why, right? But when it comes to this other stuff, for sure, right? So 2 per bucket should be enough to kill off any pests or eggs or anything that might have, not saying it has, but that might have come in with the bags as I'm purchasing them from different companies, right? It's not any particular company. It's just, that's a fact of life. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to put the buckets away. But I just wanted you to be aware that if you take it this far and you do what I've been doing, right? You know, it starts to accumulate as if I'm going to get to everything tomorrow. I'm not. So, but when I do get to it and I open it up, I want to make sure that it's not got a whole bunch of freaking bugs in there, right? So, that's what you do. What is this? Ooh. Oh, bugs would be happy. That's millet. Okay, so it's easy. Just throw in 2 oxygen absorbers. I don't know if they're 300 cc or 400 cc. You could even throw in 3 if you wanted to for that size bucket. It's not a big deal. Maybe I'll throw in 3 and then seal up your jar, right? Or your container. In this case, it's these 2-gallon buckets with gamma lids. And let them sit for at least a week or 2 unopened so the oxygen absorber can do what it needs to do, okay? And then after you open it, you can take them out. Okay, but you have to let them sit for a while. So being that I'm not doing any cooking anytime soon, now that is not my idea. This is another YouTuber's recommendations, and I agree with her 100%, assuming that you have these things. And so I'm going to follow her advice. She's an elderly woman. I'll just link her channel into the description box. Hold on. So yeah, there's that kefir rice, and so next time I go out and about shopping, I'll buy some more. Okay, so in a situation like this, I'm just gonna put in 2, and then I'm just gonna put 2 and 2 and 2 and 2 and 2 and 2. Hold on. Okay, people. So I'm trying to bring buckets into my bedroom because my bedroom is extremely cold. And I have food prep in here because I never always had anti-schmaize room, right? Anyway, yeah, I have to remember I've been doing this since 2011. Okay, so this is pretty much all store-bought stuff over the years. Obviously, some home canning in there. You can see I still have juice from back in the day, which is still very good. Okay, like, do you see how nice and cold it is? Look how solidified that is. Right? I mean, you can't get any better than that. Anyway, so I'm showing you this because I just want to say, like, let's put it on me for a second, if I can. Hold on. Okay, well, very dark. What's new in this house, right? Anyway, I just want to say that, I worked really hard over the years to have food security, right? For my family as a whole. And, but obviously I spent more than half my life while living in this house, people, in this yard, to which is going to be ripped up and completely destroyed for something that's completely unaffordable for people like my family. Okay? You either got to have a really, 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 really good job, right? Or those, immigrant, federal, provincial, and municipal subsidies, that kind of thing, right? In terms of renting these new and improved property development condos and God knows what they're making, even though they're sitting over there empty, right? Because it's just laundering money, people. That's all it is, right? And okay. So anyway, they're having I already told you they're going to be I guess they're putting their final application in to tear down those 3 houses on 132, with one of them being a duplex. Okay, they've already evicted 2 tenants that I'm aware of. One, they literally locked out, people, and threw her shit in a bin. I seen it, okay? They would not let her back in, and they brought in a big bin, and they threw out all her shit in the bin. The people that are living in the basement of that duplex on that one side, since these property developers, quote unquote, bought that property to develop, right? They haven't fixed anything. She's had severe pipe problems for years, okay? And they just refuse to fix anything, okay? Because, they can't kick them out and get another $1,000 in rent, right? So what they do is they just don't fix anything, people. It's like here, nothing really gets fixed unless it's like in dire need. And even then, okay, whatever. because the house is old and it's going to be torn down. That's how they justify it. Or we can get $4,000, $4,500 for the house, being that you only pay $1,950, even though we told you can move in, stay as long as you want. Rent is $1,550 and we'll never raise the rent. But besides that point, now that we can, and we have been with all the other properties that we own, we want to raise this one up, double the rent. Instead of $1,950, they want $4,000 or $4,500 or more, as much as they can get, right? And then maybe then they might fix something. They might. It's hard to say, right? And the question is, how do they fix it? And for how long is it fixed for? You know, assuming that it gets fixed the right time, the first time. Because just because they come in and fix something doesn't mean it's going to get fixed properly. And they're not going to have to come back and do it again. Anything to disrupt your life, keep you angry, keep your house fighting among yourselves. You know, it took years to have anything of decency done with that basement bathroom, because the landlord put it on me, as if I have all these people around me to work for free, basically, or on the cheapest of the cheap of the cheap, at the snap of my fingers, just because I said, hey, Ralph, go fix that bathroom for me. You know, doesn't work like that, people. Okay, whatever. They're having a public meeting at City Hall on March 6th. I booked myself in to speak in regards to this property development proposal. Apparently, there's 11 proposals going through. Now, you have to remember, the previous mayor, Mayor McCullum, who had 2 terms over a period of, 10, 15 years, whatever. It was Mayor McCullum for years and years and years and years and years and years. And then Diane Watts for a few years and years and years and years, right? And then Mayor McCullum came back in, right? Said he wasn't going to cut down no trees, ended up getting elected, came in and booked 50,000 trees in this district of Surrey to be cut down for quote-unquote property development. Okay, whatever. I guess they had an election in November or October or something of last year. And now we've got a different mayor named Brenda Locke, to whom wants to keep the RCMP people as the police force versus doing what Mayor McCullum wanted to do in terms of quote-unquote firing the RCMP so that he could build on a district policing, even though a lot of the police that were going to become police for his district police were going to be ex-fired RCMP. So he didn't clean the swamp, okay? He just shuffled some paperwork so that it costed more money, right? And kept the same dirty cops employed. All right. So anyway, I don't know how this woman won or what she stood for when outside of, she wasn't supporting turning the RCMP, which is a federal entity, even though the federal government only provides about 30% of their paychecks, where the other money comes from the provincial and the municipal when it meets their, their pay and their pensions and their whatever they have, right? Okay. She wanted to keep the RCMP, and however she won, I don't know. She's in there now, okay? With, these property development proposals, going in front of them, because it has to be approved before they can start tearing everything down come summer, okay? But this is all through the pipeline, people. This is the laundering of money at the expense of dead bodies littering the streets, okay? And broken homes, broken families, right? Abandoned animals, namely cats, right? And just, assisted suicide now, right? Because you're depressed, you lost your house, you lost your family, you lost your kids to death and murder and all this other shit. Well, the immigrants are prospering, people, as city council keeps pushing the envelope, because at the end of the day, they're all connected to each other, you see. And Anyway, I got this little flyer in the mail, and I thought, Judy, your voice isn't going to count. They don't care about you. They've never cared about you. I mean, this is what my videos have shown. And, but, you need to go and say something, at least a little something, right? So I phone and I say, I'd like to book myself in to I'm allowed to speak, because it says you're allowed to speak, right? For 5 minutes. And I thought, okay, well, I'll do that. I'll bring the kids with me. So this mayor, I thought it was Mayor McCullen, but it's not. It's a Brenda Locke. But anyway, could see what she's allowing to happen when my time comes to say, get the fuck out. If you don't get out fast enough, we're bringing in a big bin. And don't tell me you're not going to do it, because I've already seen you do it over there. I've seen you do it over there. I've seen you do it down there. I see it all the time, people. Okay? We're dealing with very ruthless individuals here. Okay? That got one mission, and it seems to be only one mission. Okay, and it's not for the public. You see, that's the thing. It's not for the community. It's not for the province. It's not for everybody. It's just for them. Okay, don't get mad. So I phone up, because you have to book in your time, right? So I phone in, and the first thing she asks me, am I in support? Do I oppose it? Or am I on the fence? I don't know how she said it, but it kind of just put me as concerned, I guess, right? And I said, no, I'm opposed, right? Oh, so she puts me on freaking hold. What? I'm opposed, so I'm not allowed to talk? So now I'm on hold, right? Then she comes back and she says, oh, what did she say? Oh, well, and I said, well, so is that going to be a problem that I oppose? Because you kind of put me on hold for, why? Why did you put me on hold? Oh, well, we have to, schedule in, and it's okay. You can come and talk. I had to get permission because I opposed it. And I'm like, fuck it, just tell her what's going on in terms of, from my perspective, right? Because I have to go in front of city council okay. So anyway, I tell her, blah, 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 that, there's corruption, right? We got empty buildings sitting for 2 years, flooding out the neighborhood because they have problems with, water drainage in their basements, and, they're not being utilized. They're just a means to launder money. And, if we got high homeless population with people being evicted from ruthless landlords, and, and just whatever, right? And then if they start building, I have to deal with these fucking trucks and the cement trucks and the dump trucks, and it's just crazy with the beep, 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 beep at 6 o'clock in the morning, right up until beep, 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 7 o'clock at night, all day long, every day, 6 days a week, with the dust being spewed up in the air, with the cement fucking cracking out in the back, cracking out in the front, in the back, in the front, because of these big ass heavy trucks that come in one after another, after another, after another, after another, just like those freaking UN soldiers that sit up there in the fifth house that's not going to get tore down, as they got all their fucking trucks all lined up in a row, as if, but the city allows that to happen, people, because, they're employed by, I guess, the city. Because, and I was walking by, I said, does the city not say nothing about you guys with your big ass fucking trucks right in front of your little teeny weeny rancher on a main freaking road? Oh, well, we get permits. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you get permits to destroy lives, literally, right? Told them that they're killing off all the animals, they're killing off all the freaking trees, and this is what I'm going to say. So, maybe I should write it down, since I've only got 5 minutes to get it to the point, right? And she said, oh, hold on a minute. She comes back, and then she says, well, you only get 3 minutes. I said, excuse me? It says right here on this little flyer that you sent me that it says 3 minutes. 5 minutes. Oh, no. That was changed 1 or 2 meetings ago. You only get 3 minutes. Oh, okay. Well, I guess 3 minutes is better than no minutes. What can you say in 3 minutes in opposition when it's already set in stone? And the people that you're dealing with are the same people that cut you off of welfare illegally in 2003 in the middle of winter with 5 dependent children and a blind man and basically threw you out in the freaking snow. The same crowd, people. This Brenda Locks has connections to the BC Liberal government with Christy Clark and Gordon Campbell. So did Mayor McCullum. So did Diane Watts. This is why this shit is going on. They went to China, the BC Liberal government, after they got into power at some point, and they cut deals, backroom deals with Chinese property developers and obviously Punjabi property developers, people. And then they came back and they bought up a whole bunch of freaking property because they knew they got caught with this, right? But the internet's been scrubbed of this information, okay? Because it was a big scandal. But they came back from wherever they came from after cutting all these backroom deals to start overinflating the property prices so they could start building this and building that. And so these MLAs from the BC Liberal government, it was like 2007, 2008, 2009, in around that time, they came back and they started buying up all these properties, personal properties for themselves, because they knew that within a year or two, once the organized crime got its foot through the door, right, and dug in deep into the ground, that they were going to get rich with the overinflated of property prices. And that's exactly what happened. Things were jumping like 5,000%. You buy it for 100,000, you can sell it for 2 million, all in the space of a year or two. And just keep going and going and going, okay? And then they spread across the whole province as these local city councils, that some of them have already been MLAs. Doesn't matter what the party is. They're all the same, right? Just some of them are worse than others, right? Anyway, this is what I'm going to be standing in front of. Somebody that supports the BC Liberal agenda, which is a direct attack against the poor people, okay? And I get a measly 3 minutes, as if my 3 minutes is going to make much of a difference. It's not. It's not, people. As I get told that I'm never going to have a house like this. This is my landlady over the years. And I'm like, I mean, obviously this shit's going through your temple. This is how you convince yourselves that whatever it is that you do to amass great wealth is justifiable. And you condition your tenants to accept their fate, to have nothing, basically, right? Get rid of your stuff, sell off your books at $2 a book. You got too many books. Why? Why are you coming into my house telling me I have too many books? What does it matter? If I could afford to move, I would move into a different house. And then those books wouldn't bother you. But you and your business associates have made it where I can't afford another house, right? Through that money laundering and pyramid fucking schemes and whatever else they do to make money, then it's like, well, you're never going to have another house like this. You can't afford it. Well, thanks for letting me know that. You better be prepared to move out because, you know, the property developer is going to take over the house soon. Oh, okay. Yeah, right. Thank you for letting me know, right? I can say all kinds of things. I don't want to beat up on my landlady because she's just one drop in a freaking ocean of corruption, people. Just one drop. Okay? You know, I'm going to let them know. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to write down just the key points. That whatever they think they're doing only leads to illegal organ harvesting. You can reference court case number, blah, 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 against the Attorney General and the Attorney General, Solicitor, Public Safety, Attorney General. Okay? With their legitimate fucking court numbers on there. In terms of, I stand my ground. My daughters were murdered, lured to their deaths. Their deaths were covered up by dirty RCMP police officers, quote unquote, with corrupt coroners, with a corrupt healthcare system, so that they can continue to build buildings that nobody can afford, because that's the only way they know how to launder their money after they kill off families like mine. Okay? You're going to make $500,000 off a dead body, one part, the heart. What you going to invest it in? Property. Because that's where the crime is. And city councils, they know it. You see, that's the thing. Our politicians, they know it. Because many of them are those infected kind. And I feel like I'm going to be in a lizard hall. Okay? I'm not going to a city hall. I'm going to a lizard hall, where there's going to be a bunch of lizards sitting around me, chomping at the bit, licking their lips, just counting the days, using time as their weapon to corner me and finally get rid of my voice so that they never get caught with the shit that they do. Okay? If there's a means to find an affordable house, oh yeah, I'd be gone. Okay? But there isn't. My landlady made sure of that. Her and the rest of her property friends that own property, develop property, wheel and deal in property, just so that they can amass great wealth for themselves, people. For themselves. Oh, well, I'm old. I just want to make sure I have retirement. I'm like, well, my grandmother was never like you. Never, ever, ever. She got old. She wanted retirement too, right? But she never went out of her way to hurt people. She never went out of her way to tell people that they can't have anything and to get rid of their shit. She never went out of her way to make it so that people couldn't find affordable housing on purpose, right? She didn't do any of that, people. Nothing like that, people. Quite the opposite. So I don't know what's going to amount out of that in terms of, I feel like I'm walking into a lizard hall. I'm not walking into city. As soon as I read up on that Brenda Locke and they started pulling out Christy Clark's name, Gordon Campbell's name, the BC Liberal government, not to say that the NDP government with John Horgan and Mike Farnsworth and David Eby and all those whatever they aren't any better because they're not. Or are any better because they're not. But I'm going to go. And I'm going to let this mayor know on the record that we have illegal organ harvesting happening in the province of British Columbia, Canada, with Surrey, British Columbia, Canada, being a main hub to that activity, being that we have ruthless property developers that make it happen, as it's being facilitated through the RCMP people and our healthcare system, among other government ministries and workers. What do you think is going to happen to me after I say that within my 3 minutes? Assuming that I can say anything when I get up on the podium or wherever I stand in front of the mic. I'm going to get targeted. That's what's going to happen. And I'm going to let them know that this little freaking 3-minute, whatever you want to call it, just opened it up for my family to be targeted even more. We'll be punished for speaking out. We'll be punished for speaking out. Oh, you can have food security only for a little while because you're never going to get another house to keep what you have, right? Get rid of your stuff, right? Yeah. Where does it come from? Klaus Schwab. My landlord was speaking the shit that Klaus Schwab speaks before Klaus Schwab himself was speaking it, people. You don't like it, you can move. I'm not fixing anything. If you want to fix it, you fix it. Right. Take it as is. If you don't like it, you can move. Start selling your stuff now. I'm only concerned that you're going to get hurt if you don't, because you're not going to be able to take it with you, because you won't be able to afford anything. I am the dictator to your life. I heard it long before Klaus Schwab ever showed up. Why, people? Where did it come from? It came from that organized religion that's in partnership with organized crime that's being facilitated through our governments and their public union sector employees as they exploit their grunt workers under contract. And that's why tearing down house after house, throwing the people out onto the streets, destroying lives won't stop. Nope. Nope. The targeting of vulnerable families, the murder of young, innocent human beings, the pillaging of body parts, including teeth. Just the medical kidnapping of the elderly who have assets that other people want to steal. Won't happen to Brenda Locke, no, because sits at the round table with those lizards. Uncle John wasn't a freaking lizard any more than Sierra was a lizard, any more than Shimei was a lizard, any more than Amari was a lizard, or myself, or anyone else around me. Only certain kind of people do shit like this. And they're not even people. When they went to China, cut those backroom deals to create this havoc that's going on in this province and has been for a long time, that's when they started replacing the legitimate human beings. With what? I don't know. I just know that a lot of these so-called quote-unquote politicians are not legitimately human. Okay? Right? Any more than Dr. God, Dr. Death, a.k.a. Bonnie Henry with her right? Fucking gears swelling up on the side of her mouth, on her neck and here, right? And that vice president to Joe Biden, McCullough something, what's her name? She's got the same issue. Same thing with that dude that works for the CEO of Pfizer. His shit pops out too, right? You know, I think Fauci has had the same problem because they're not human people. That's why. Humans are under attack. Yep. So anyway, I'm in here as if it's going to get me anywhere now. Right. They want to throw out a blind woman with orphan children that are either severely disabled or have been injured, so that there is a form of disability in there when it comes to reading and those kind of things, right? And struggling with that issue, being that, you know, when they took him, he stopped eating, he stopped talking, because they took a happy child and they destroyed him at a very, very early age as they broke his mind into two, okay? And split it with their drama and trauma, and they're not done yet. They've been traumatizing my sons for years, people. They traumatized Andre when they took John. So much trauma. They traumatized Andre when Shimei was murdered and the cops covered it up. So much trauma. And they allow some punk bitch to roam free like a lunatic that's, I don't know, a hoodlum, literally, a hoodlum, right? Because they know that she will bring in more dead bodies for them. It's just a matter of time. That's what they like. Yeah. That's why she never gets held to account for her bullshit. Yeah. You know, it's easy to sneak around and lace other people's things, their drinks, their food, their cigarettes with medical fentanyl so that they can be snuffed out and then harvested. And then you can go off and buy a purse. Yeah. Or mommy can go buy another house and be a rich bitch. I'm just saying. So anyway, I got to focus on this. I'm trying to just organize a little bit. So I'm going to end this video because, you know, seriously, for everything that I've done all these years when it comes to food security, what's the point of having food security if you can't rent another house? If houses have become obsolete in terms of affordability, because the greed and the corruption is just so ingrained into society in general, right? Because you know this mayor is benefiting from this shit, okay? You know it. It's dinner. It's just dinner, people. It's dinner for them. Okay? They eat what they sow when they're not selling it for whatever other reasons they sell it for. And that's why it's out of control and it doesn't stop. And then they're going to corral everybody into these buildings that in 50 years from now will be the next slums. The slums like the slums from the countries that they come from. Go to India, go to the slums, you're going to find the same buildings. Go to China, go to the slums, you're going to find the same buildings. Okay, they're just building future slums as they're be feeding everybody that Soylent Green mixed in with bug meal and cricket flour and God knows what else that they're going to throw in there just to, what, keep the population fed as they harvest those individuals because they're the poorest of the poor, right? You know, being that they live in the slums.